um, not so happy hour where you guys can talk about problems and concerns that you're having. Anything that's on your mind that you want to discuss, we can be on any topic, obviously real estate related, and it's open forum. So does anybody have anything they'd like to start with? This is going to go really slow. Come on, Larry, you always have something.
Morning, sunshine.
Morning.
Unfortunately, at the moment, everything is status quo in the couple of deals I'm working.
Awesome. I mean, it can be past problems too that you've learned from. Are good things too. It doesn't have to be just problems. It can be good things or anything that that obstacles you've overcome and it's successful at.
If anybody,
go ahead.
If anybody has heard anything about testing, because Bernie is done with his classes, and we've been told that everything's on hold. They don't know how they're going to move forward with testing at this time. So if you hear anything that I don't have access to, that would be good to know for us.
Someone else was talking about that, and I don't remember. Was it you, Dan?
Yeah, Jason Thompson was talking about it the other day, saying that he was able to find a proctored testing site that'll still do testing. So
oh, that's good.
Reach out to Pearson View, who does the testing. They might have proctored tests still now.
So I was also going to suggest that you contact TAR, because the TAR office is tracking that, I think, and including it in their newsletter. I want to say I saw something last week. So you may want to call the TAR office and see what information they
Yeah, we did. I've called them a couple of times, and they're saying, I think 2 weeks ago, they didn't know. And then a week ago, they said possibly the last week of April, they were going to have something available. So I think it's just everything's been changing day to day. Yeah. So I'll call them again. Thank you.
I'll see what I can find out.
Thank you so much.
Anybody else? Again, this is an open forum to talk about any concerns or questions or problems you're having, or anything that you've recently resolved that you want to share with the group.
How about you, Ms. Lisa? What has been the consistent question you've been getting for the last week?
The last week has mostly been regarding contingency agreements. We've had a lot of deals that are dependent upon someone else's deal closing, much more than normal. And the timelines there and all of the processes that need to go into play at the right times to make sure those are successful have been a little bit overwhelming for agents. All I can suggest is you really read those forms. They are confusing and there's different options available. So make sure that you pick the option that works best for your client, and then you follow the timelines exactly. Oh, you guys are quiet.
Brandy Lopez. I don't see her on calls very often. Welcome. How are you?
I'm wonderful, Dan Caldwell. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Hey, Lisa.
Yes, Kathy, how may I help you?
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
One of the concerns that I've been having, and I know you guys have a psychologist that comes on the line. I've not been able to come in on those video calls, but with some of the transactions that I've been in, is trying to encourage even some of the seasoned agents that this is a stressful time for everybody, whether you're new in the business or not, and trying to go back to those bold laws to keep those emotions in between the lines has been something that's been coming up a lot. And reminding them, they've been a couple of KW agents, that we understand that these are stressful times. However, let's focus on the contract itself and get through it. Our objective has to be the same. And at the end of the day, if we have to apologize to each other, that's fine. But we have to focus on keeping those as much as possible. And I know it can be a challenge, keeping those emotions in check.
Right. And I think this more than ever is a really great time to reach out by phone to the other agent and just have a really good conversation at the beginning of the transaction. Explain that, you know, especially if you have a client that's highly emotional right now, and you can just reach out to them and say, listen, you know, I'm going to do my very best to make sure this is smooth. My client is a little overwrought, and I just want to let you know that I'm going to do my part to make sure things go smoothly. And sometimes just having an open dialogue rather than just texting back and forth, it makes it more.
We lost you.
Yeah, Lisa, I don't know if you're catching this or not, but you froze. Sorry.
Sorry, my internet's freezing up too. I apologize if I just was staring off into space. My internet was totally frozen for a few minutes there.
Could I get some, and I apologize, my video isn't showing. When I'm on my phone, I have it disabled because I'm usually driving.
Okay.
But I have wondered, how are those of you who are, because right now all of my buying clients are in a holding pattern, right? Like nothing is happening with them.
Mhm.
But if something should happen, right? Like they want to start looking again. How are you guys handling? I mean, because of course they can see pictures and whatever video tours, but are you guys actually still meeting clients at properties for physical showings, or how is that playing out right now?
Do you have any buyer's agents that would like to address that?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Renee.
This is Veronica, and I am still showing, and I'm always asking the buyer what they're comfortable with, so I know how I need to prepare myself. And I carry gloves with me, and I have gloves for my clients, and I always call the listing agents to see if there's any special precautions we need to take. I had one who I forget what happened, but come to find out the seller had an autoimmune disorder, so they asked for minimal people in and for everyone to wear a mask and gloves. So we're just doing what's comfortable for both buyers and sellers, and just being very accommodating and very respectful of how everyone is handling this differently and what their independent needs may be.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one. I think it's so important to make sure that you follow showing instructions. Find out if you can have the seller accommodate your buyer by opening doors, turning on lights. If there's anything, any cabinets that need to be opened or anything like that, have them do all that ahead of time. That's less that your buyer then has to touch or be exposed to as well.
Oh, that's a good suggestion, because that's typically what I do, right? Get there before the clients to turn on lights and do all of that. So that is a good tip to keep in mind. Thanks.
Well, especially since a lot of the sellers are home right now, it's much easier for them to do it and then just exit for a little bit and come back.
Exactly. Yeah.
Lisa, I did have a weird, not a strange one, but I did have a agent ask for minimal people to go in, and so I wasn't a necessary party to go in, so he asked that I stayed outside, which made me feel really awkward, right? Because I'm opening up the lockbox. I trust my clients completely, and we're responsible. So there I am, like sitting outside on a bench while my buyers are running through the house unsupervised. Is that okay in this market, or what do you think? Do I need to do something differently?
I am a little uncomfortable with that, only because you're the one on the line, like you said. And if there's some way that you could either accompany them even just by standing 6 feet away from them in a room or something like that. But, you know, some people are dishonest and we don't know who they are until, of course, they prove themselves to be. And you would hate to have something come up where a client had compromised someone's security or in some fashion and you weren't even in the room and didn't know about it.
Right.
Just, you know, these are different times than normal. So again, I would have that conversation with the listing agent and say, if I cannot accompany my client in the property, is there any safeguard in place to assure everyone's security?
Okay.
They may have video going. I mean, you don't know. That's something to be aware of right now too, that I would say a good portion of your showings will be recorded or accessible to the seller. So maybe caution your buyers not to speak completely freely or openly while they're in the home.
Okay. Thank you for that reminder. I forgot about it.
Yeah. I know we all are guilty of that one.
So this is Donna Mainwaring, and I actually showed 2 houses yesterday, and this is what I want to remind you of. My clients are out of state, and so they couldn't be there, but I called the seller's agent and asked if it was okay if I was on video with my client through the house, and both of them gave me permission. And I just did a live walkthrough video with them, and they really liked it. It was good for me to practice it and do that. I'm a newer agent, of course, so I haven't had to do that much.
Yeah.
You might just consider, treat them like they're an out-of-state client.
Mm-hmm. You also make sure you get that permission in writing from the listing agent that you have permission to video that property, because it is actually advertising. And unless you have that permission in writing, it's a violation of our rules and regs.
Right.
Even if it's an email, just something or text that says, yes, you have permission to video my property at X address.
Right.
Then you have that.
Right.
Yeah, I've had out of state or out of town buyers before, but I was just curious about, like I said, I didn't think about asking, for example, a seller, right, to open up or turn on lights and things like that. Like, because I don't know about you all, but I do, my tactics and my practices do change depending on who my client is, right? So yeah, when they're out of state, out of town, there are things that I automatically do because they're not physically here. But just given the social distancing and limiting just our contact in general, right, with not only people but surfaces, and that's the new part for me, that I know I'm not thinking about all of the things that I could be, because this is a new landscape and environment.
Right. And you can offer the same courtesy to your in-town people as well, and offer them the option of a video walkthrough, as long as the listing agent gives you permission. They may not want to enter the property either.
Right. Yeah. We're all, well, I guess it's running the gamut, right? There are people who are really erring on the side of caution and extreme caution and not wanting to touch anything, right? And then there are those who are feeling like, oh, okay, it's safe now, right? And then everything in between. So yeah.
And we're not medical professionals, so we need to be cautious of telling our clients, yeah, this house is safe or not safe and things like that. I did hear someone say that earlier in a different forum, and they said, yeah, my clients aren't sick, so we don't think it's any problem at all going in there. I'm like, we can't say that. That's not up to us to say that.
Right. Yeah, especially since what we're learning is how many people are asymptomatic, right?
Exactly.
And the lack of testing, we cannot know, and will probably never know who has it or had it, right? So yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, none of us know. We're all flying blind right now. It's new and different. And frankly, it's a really good way to increase your skill set for the future. As horrible as it is that people are dying from this, as agents, it's always good to have different ways of doing your business. And this is forcing us to step out of our comfort zone and learn new things. There's never anything wrong with that.
If I could, I want to share just quickly some input that I was on a call with Senator McSally day before yesterday. Good. I don't know if any of the rest of you were, but it was a call that TAR had coordinated because, as you may or may not know, there's the special funding that became available through the CARES Act. One was related to the Payroll Protection Program, the PPP, which some of our agents or their teams may have pursued and qualified for. She indicated that they were aware of, at the federal level, because the program is actually a loan that can be forgiven if 75% of the amount is used towards payroll. because the actual intention is to preserve jobs, right? So I can imagine, for example, some of our teams have admins that are hired, right, who are staff, who aren't like 1099 or independent contractors, right? And so if 75% is used towards payroll, then the loan can be forgiven. Otherwise, it's a low interest loan.
Right.
They know at the federal level that it's hard for realtors to get to that 75% threshold. That said, there isn't any new guidance, but they are aware of it. So just FYI. Now that program just ran out of money yesterday. So, you know, no new applications are taking place, but I just wanted to make that information available. And the other thing that came up was that those of us who are independent contractors, self-employed, qualify for the unemployment benefits from the federal perspective. But those programs are state programs.
Exactly.
And the Arizona Department of Economic Security, which is the agency that handles that for us here, hasn't quite fleshed out its process or approval criteria for self-employed and independent contractors. What they are saying is for people to apply if they want to apply, so that then once they hammer it out, the application is in the system, because it is on a weekly basis that you submit your unemployment claim. So you need to apply in order to then submit your weekly claim in order to then be covered by unemployment. And one of the criteria is the homeschooling requirement for all of us right now, right? Those of us who are parents with children in school, their schools being shut down is one of the qualifying criteria. So the feds know and are trying to coordinate with the state agencies on that unemployment insurance. So that was as of Wednesday.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa. Yeah, and if you read the email I sent out the other day, I attached a link to the NAR brochure that then you can click on other links on that to find out more information about that program.
Yeah, I did see that. And then, and if you go to the Arizona Department of Economic Security, they do have some specific COVID-19 information and FAQs, but it is still woefully lacking in terms of the independent contractors and self-employed.
Exactly.
If I can chime in real quick, I just got a message from my tax guy, and he said the PPP program, even though they ran out of money for the first stage, but there will be a second stage coming out soon.
Oh, good news. That's really good to hear.
Yeah, they're battling out, I guess, in the Senate, right? What version and the levels of funding. So right now, it's the political battle. Yeah. And I know it's tough times for everybody. None of us expected this. And of course, it's affecting all of our incomes and lives. But we'll get through this. And our market is still strong. So that's something to remember. Some of you are busier than ever. And those that aren't busy probably still aren't busy. But it's a good time to work on your skills and to get out there and talk to your people. You will probably forge some really good relationships through this, and come out on the other side stronger for it. What about some of you that have been in the business for a while? Rebecca, can I pick on you? Rebecca Schulte? Maybe? Maybe not? Okay, what about you,
Hey,
Mr.
Lisa?
Yes, Kathy.
One of our newer she's been in the business for a couple years now, and she's been doing quite well until we entered into this storm. Mm-hmm. And she was a little bit discouraged a couple days ago, and just was questioning whether or not she should stay in real estate or not, and this, that, and the other. And I was trying to encourage her. In real estate, or in any industry, in life itself, you're going to have some sunny days. You're going to have a time of springtime, but there are seasons that change. if you're able to weather this storm, and we will get through it, then that's going to not only strengthen who she is in her character, but also her business.
Correct.
So it's important that we not jump ship, so to speak, just because we're in the storm, because the storm doesn't last always. And so just want to encourage everybody that whether you're seasoned or whether you're new, these are territories that we have not treaded on before. However, as I mentioned, you know, this is a season that will not last always, even though I personally don't think it will be business as usual, and we'll adjust to whatever that new normal is.
Right, right. And honestly, I had another agent call me and say the same thing. Maybe I should get out of real estate. I'm thinking, okay, what are your choices right now? What do you have in place that's going to be better than what you have now? They had no idea. Frankly, if they spent that same amount of time on their business that they would do searching for something else, they would be successful.
That's true. Yeah.
And nothing is perfect ever, like you said. But in general, we're very lucky. Our jobs are such that you can tailor them to suit your lifestyle, to suit your family, your interests. We are so lucky in our profession that I think people forget to remember that sometimes.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I've done it for 25 years. I love getting up every day and going to work. And I think people have to remember that if you're doing this for a reason. You need to find the joy in your job, and if you can't find that, then that's when you need to probably switch it up or find other things that you can do to make it better. Anybody else?
I just would like to add that I'm thankful to be a realtor right now because I do have small children that were in school. I can still, even though I'm not as productive as I want to be, and I can fix that. However, I'm not so sure I want to, because that's why I went with Keller Williams, is because God, family, and business. So I just want to add that tidbit.
Mm-hmm. And I think it's a great time to reconnect with your kids and your family. It's easy for mine to grown, so I don't have them running around driving me crazy all day long. But it's a really great time to let your kids know what you do for a living. They may not be exposed to that ever. And I think it's really great for them to learn work habits and see what you do behind the scenes, and that the money just doesn't come into the account, that you actually have to earn it. I think it's a really good time for them. And it may be
I'm going to jump onto that too, Lisa. What we're going through, obviously is uncharted waters, something that's brand new. We're not sure where it's going to go, but in the process, the real challenge for all of us is coming from exactly what Keller Williams is doing, which is, all the classes that are online, the process of walking through the shift Zoom calls that are happening. This is basically a challenge to get on top of the game. I think it's much more now a case of hunker down, get into your command. Everybody has said this before. I'm just preaching to the choir, but you really have to take to heart that this is a true opportunity while things slow down a little bit, and while they figure it all out, and while the mortgage companies figure out what they're doing. I don't know how many of you heard or have seen those articles where many of the mortgage companies are starting to ratchet up credit scores to qualify for a loan, which is now starting to eliminate some potential buyers. But that's not a doom and gloom thing. That just means you're going to have to start talking to people and digging a little harder to A, find a business, but B, also doing it in a way that is in tandem with what people are going through. How they feel about it, stuff like that. Part of my challenge is I'm kind of a black and white guy, and my conversations now have to be a whole lot more about how are you feeling?
Right.
What's happening? How are the kids doing? These are the questions that I try to have in my conversations, but they aren't the forefront. I'm typically more of a salesperson than I am a personal person.
That's where
but it's just, it's a cliche word, but it's so appropriate that shift is what's happening. We are going to have to shift, and those that make the shift are going to be fine. Mm-hmm. Those who don't make the shift are going to drop out. It's kind of like 2008, 2009 all over again. We lost a bunch of realtors at that time because some people just weren't, there's the 80-20 rule. Right. So are you going to be part of the 20 that's winning the game and actually working and earning, as the keyword you said, Lisa, and that's what made me jump in here. We have to earn our business right now. and it's a challenge to do so, but the business is out there. I'm still in 2 deals. I've got those 2 working, thankfully, but the sellers didn't go, oh my God, this whole thing, we have to back out. We want to take our listing off. No, they're like, well, let's find a buyer.
Right.
So, the shift, getting into command, doing the phone calls, all that stuff, we're there. This is the chance to hone that skill because it's necessary at this point.
And, it's naive to think we won't even have another shift after this. I've been in the business 23 years and I've been, I think, for 4 shifts basically. And each time I've had to just, like you said, hone my skill set, narrow it down to different things. In 2008, I was big in land development. I lost my entire database of business overnight and had to find a new avenue. One thing I can tell you is don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you spread yourself out a little bit so that if one of your areas dries up, you have others to fall back on. But yeah, these shift tactics are something we should all have in our back pocket, knowing how to use them. It'll stand you in good stead even in a good market. So hunker down and practice those skills.
That, and I would also say this is where the difference, and I would say that the people who are struggling most, because I will venture to say that it is a challenge for us all, right? But the ones for whom it is the greatest challenge are those who still consider themselves employees as opposed to business owners.
Correct.
Right? Because that's a mindset also.
Yeah.
And those of us who have owned other businesses are more perhaps skilled or attuned to the fact that we have to constantly monitor the landscape of our business.
Yeah.
We have to continuously touch our customers and clients to understand that we are meeting their needs. And so this is no different for us as realtors, right? Larry, you were saying now you're having to, change the conversations. You're having to include some additional questions that aren't related to real estate, right? They're just related to your clients and potential clients as people. And so as business owners, we need to expand the tools in our toolkit so that we can navigate and negotiate uncertainty throughout the lifespan of our businesses and ourselves, right? And so that's the other thing that I think brokerages need to continue helping their agents learn and know is that operation as a business owner, right? And now is a time when we have to be thinking about our clients and potential clients' needs, their needs. What are their needs? What do they need right now? Yeah. Right? Beyond whatever transaction might occur or not, what else do they need? And for some of us, that's a smaller bridge to build than for others, right? Yeah. But we are business owners, and we are being called upon at this moment and at other moments as business owners, not as employees, not as, rank and file. Like, we are needing to make decisions as business owners.
Correct. And as a business owner, you need to know the tools to get your job done. And that's one of the things that Dan and I were talking about is this is a great time for everybody to ramp up their skills, know their contracts, know all the tools that you have in your toolbox to do your job better and run it like a business.
I have a question about marketing.
Okay.
Can I stand at the front of my development and say, if I did obviously a sign that has to be, approved, but could I stand at the front of my subdivision and say, need a realtor, sell, buy, that type of thing?
You want to?
Yeah. It just needs to advertise your brokerage in your name. That's it. Yeah.
Okay. I'll probably develop something like that because when people see it, it comes to mind. So anyway, just food for thought.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to bring out to you guys, just to go back on the topic that we're talking about, Lisa put this into place, Miss Lisa Nutt and Lisa Sullivan both talk about, you are not just a realtor. You are not just a salesperson. You are a small business owner. It's important for you to focus on that because you are the reason either for your success or your demise, not the market, not your brokerage, nothing more than the person in the mirror. The landscape of our market is going to shift. It is changing. It's forever going to be changed. So write this down. Either you're going to be a survivor or the architect. Do you want to be the reason it changes, or do you just want to survive the change? Some of the biggest agents in the business, especially here at Keller Williams, have created their businesses inside the shift, where they hone out their skills, they get engaged, they get involved, they roll their boots, their sleeves, and tie their bootstraps, or whatever you want to say it, and they just get to work. So show up, be the architect.
Yeah.
Don't let this change affect you, affect it.
Right. And you're not on vacation right now. People need to remember that. You need to get up, get ready, go to work. If you act like you're on vacation, you're not going to get anything done.
Do you mind if I give them a little free coaching?
Please.
All right, guys. So as you know, I'm a productivity coach, and part of my program is helping agents get in there and become more productive. But I want you to look at how many listings did you take last month? Someone throw a number out to me.
1.
0.
Hope took 1. We got a 0 in there. Robin took 1 last month. The
2.
MLS, Kathy took 3. Fantastic. So the MLS took around 1,500. If the market were to shift 50%, meaning that half of the business went away, there's still about 750 people that are going to list and sell their house in an average month. Is there some opportunity for you to increase your market share? Go from 1 to 2, 1 to 4. We're looking at this massive change, like, oh, everything's going down 30, 40, 50%. But even if our market were to stop and do a 50% reduction, that means there was 1,500 contracts that went in last month. And if half of those go away, there's 750 of it. Your piece of the pie was 1 of 1,500 or 2 of 1,500 or 3 of 1,500. Is there still some opportunity for you to grow your business?
Yes.
Right? Change the way you look at it. Just like Bold teaches us, if we change what we, think about the change, right? It's all the mindset. It's all on how you focus. What you focus on expands. I love that. But when you change your perspective on it, you're no longer impacted by the huge market drop. What you're impacted by is what you did last time, what you did last month. The effort you put in will directly correlate that. So do you think you could take your 1 listing from last month and turn it into 2 this month? Can you capture that 50%? Or are you going to get steamrolled by the agents at a different brokerage?
Yeah. The other thing is, Big Dan's program is open to everybody, whether you're a new agent or not. Anybody can join coaching and sign up for that program. It may be a really good opportunity for some of you that may have stalled your business a little or need that extra incentive to get back on track to join his program.
And if you got questions, you can give me a call. I'll throw my cell phone number up in the chat if you ever need something. I'm here for you. And as a licensed agent, I do a lot of contract stuff too, so I can help with that, take some of the weight off of the brokers. But guys, we're here to help. I'm your partner in your business.
Yeah.
It's all about growth.
One thing we have right now is a really cohesive leadership team. We're all trying to work together for you all. And it's really working out well for us, and I'm hoping it's working for you. If there are systems or things that are happening that you aren't happy with, please let us know. We'll do what we can to change it and make it better for you. Let's see. Anybody else, any questions or concerns or anything that Dan and I can help you with?
Hey, Lisa.
Yes, Rebecca.
Hey, hi. Hey, so I just want to comment on the last shift.
Mm-hmm.
I kept working. I kept focused and I kept working. And I did not get sucked into the fear. Fear will paralyze you. And it was interesting. I tell this story often. I walked into a Coldwell Banker office, and At the time, who was there? Paul. I think Paul was the manager there.
Yeah.
And I remember walking into that office because I needed to use the restroom. It was the one that was over there at Williams Center. And no one. The entire office was empty. And, you know, what happened was people, a lot of the agents, they didn't know how to shift. They didn't know how. And it just amazes me, I think with the fear that they had, it's just like they gave up.
Yep.
And I guess, you know, don't get stuck in fear. Just keep on moving forward. Look to the other side. Just keep on focusing what's on the other side, because there's good on the other side of this.
Yeah. Don't be your own worst enemy. Make sure that you don't let the fear consume you. I agree.
Fear is a terrible motivator. Unfortunately, it's natural.
Yeah.
So
well,
if you do
sometimes
find yourself going into a cave and and you feel yourself wanting to shut off, that's when you need to reach out. That's just a a sociological thing. If you feel yourself wanting to cave in, wanting to hide, and I don't need to go to the store right now. I went yesterday. I don't need to talk to this person I talked to them before. Those are signs of you starting to shut down.
Mhm.
That's when you really need to break out of that and reach out to an accountability partner, reach out to a coach, reach out to a broker, reach out to me, reach out to a friend, and get out of that mindset. And that will really start shifting that. But great point. Just that, keep away from the fears is the best thing you can do.
And I think the accountability piece is really important too. It's really easy to not be accountable to anybody if you're sitting at home working by yourself. You can say you're going to get something done, but who's going to know whether you do it or not? So it may be a really great time to have an accountability partner, someone you can check in with once or twice a day, saying, "Hey, these are my goals for today. This is what I need to accomplish." And then you can check in and say, "Hey, did you get it done or not get it done?" And just not knowing you have to be accountable to somebody, I guarantee you're going to get more done.
So could I chime in again? That might be, because that's great. I know it took me, some of you know my story, some of you don't. I'm a single parent by choice. I have 2 precious boys. So all at once, we were, schools were shut down. I was forced to homeschool 2 children at the same time, with a school district that is still figuring out what the heck it needs to be doing, and being a business owner and figuring out my business, right? Like, so I know for me, it took a good week for me to just gather my bearings, right? And because I was literally being pulled in so many directions, right? So
Yeah.
I know personally it took, so that whole week I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't, like, my mind was, and I lost everything in the last recession. So I have the very vivid memories of having lost everything, including a different business that I owned at that time. And so we're all at a different starting point at this moment in time, right? And we all have different lessons to learn and different lessons that we have learned to bring to bear.
Right.
So I know, like like I said, for me, it took me a good week to just be able to catch my breath, get my children what it is that they needed to be doing day in and day out for school, right? Get myself situated so that I could give us what we need as a family every single day, day in and day out, right? Because there is nobody else, right? And just the rhythm of the day, right? Like, I am preparing 3 meals a day, 7 days a week for now 4 weeks straight, for example, right? Just all of the ways that our life changed. So I would say, leadership team, what you may want to do is give some cheat sheets to the pod leaders that they can share with their pods. right? I know I'm in touch with my pod leader because I groove that way. That's my jam. I'm happy to do that. But that may not be true for everybody. So even though we have pod leaders and some pod leaders might be doing a better job of reaching out to their pods, I would say that internally, that's a resource that we can use to make sure that they are being accountable and they're helping. I don't always like the word accountability, right? Because there's a negative connotation. There's like some punitive, like you're not being right, like responsible or an adult or a big boy or a big girl, whatever.
Yeah.
But if it's just a touching base, right? But if we could equip our pod leaders with just maybe a series of questions that they can ask either in their phone conversations or in the text messages. With my pod leader, we're setting up a weekly FaceTime that we're doing, right? And we've been in communication via text. And again, this comes easier and is more natural for others, right, than for some. But because you all have identified pod leaders for everybody, I would say that's a great resource to leverage, to your point, Dan, right? To help people either get into a mindset or get out of a mindset or a funk, right? Because I know for me, my insecurities and my fear shows up in waves, right? Like there's typically a trigger, like something happens, something is said, I remember something, right? I read something, and then I go through it right now. I know myself well enough and have done work for the last 20 years, right? To be able to get myself out of it.
Right.
But that's not true for everybody.
Yeah.
And so I would say, let's use our pod leaders. Let's do some capacity building for them, right? And how they can be the touch point for our agents to help us get through this.
Right, and we have done that. Yeah, our pod leaders are, we're in touch with them quite often. And one of the things is everybody has a different level of touch that they require. Some people don't want constant contact. Some people want a lot of it. I've gotten calls up from people that say, my pod leaders call me, all the time. I look at you. I said, ask them not to call you.
Enough, yeah.
So if we have tried to set the expectations with the pod leaders of things they can ask, but we'll definitely reach out and see if we can improve that.
But the biggest thing to help the brokers, this is refocusing back to what the broker has this call for, is to help you guys out. So I appreciate you guys taking some time and joining on the call. I didn't mean to, hijack a little bit, but joining the broker calls. I talked to Lisa today. She's going to do some videos for us to help us with contracts and some questions there. So it'll be at your disposal on-demand resources. So keep an eye on the one KDO. Well, words are tough. The 1kwsa.com page. We've uploaded a resource tab. There's some scripts in there. There's some one pages we're getting from the other mega teams, and the videos that Lisa will be putting up will be put up there as well. So a lot more resources on top of just this class that we're doing. So thank you.
And one of the things we're doing is trying new things, and this may not be a forum that works. I mean, we may end up doing a forum just to talk to be able to talk to each other versus teach anything, because it seems like that seems to be more necessary right now. But one of the things we would appreciate is suggestions on what you would like from us as brokers and leadership, as far as classes or items of interest, things like that, so that we can give you what you want rather than just taking up your time. Obviously, time is valuable, and we don't want to just be one more thing you have to do. We want it to be of value.
So this is Donna. Can I ask, 'cause I'm a newer broker and I know I've had my license since October, but I worked a full-time job and I just gave my notice and left my full-time job right before COVID. I said, wait, I'm not gonna have any income coming in yet because I'm just hitting the ground running. So as a new agent, is there a forum other than Facebook that we can throw questions out there? I mean, yes, we can call our pod leader, and yes, we can call Dan because I'm definitely doing the coaching. But I have so many questions that I feel like I'm going to drag them all down. And
yeah, and they're not at all. And that's what the broker hotline is for as well.
Not even that. Like, if you have a question, ask. The only way you're going to grow and develop and become a better agent or a better human is to ask questions. I take phone calls and I tell people, between 8 and 8 is the broker hotline. If you text me and said, hey, can you talk? And I call you, I can talk. If I'm in the middle of something, I'll tell you in the middle of something. If we're busy, we're busy, but we'll get back to you. If you have questions, ask.
Yeah.
Never think that you're inundating us and being needy. I've had some agents use the word needy. You're not needy. You need to learn.
They bother us. You don't bother us at all. That's what we're here for. We want to help you.
Right. All right.
I'd rather get the random questions than having you guys in a legal situation because you try to do it without asking questions, or you missed an opportunity because you didn't take the opportunity to call or text.
My questions may not necessarily right now be specifically about a client or a deal or something. They may just be trying to get myself aligned as an agent and trying to get my technology working with, what do I do every day when I sit here? You guys are open to all those questions?
Absolutely. We have tech hunters, tech ambassadors, and if it involves you, involves us. Like I have people asking me all the time for referrals on contractors and referrals on, hey, I used to work at a car dealership. Can you help me out? Like, this is a weird, unprecedented time, and people are going to come across questions. And my job is to make sure that you guys are productive. It's in my title. I try to keep official titles out of the way. I'm just your partner and things. But if you got a question about, how do I get my cell phone to pair to my computer or whatever, we'll do it. Hell, during this call, I got a text from an agent saying, hey, can you pair your headphones to a computer? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm here to answer some questions.
There's no stupid questions. There's so many things I don't know, especially about technology. I'll reach out to anybody on our team and ask for help on that. That's what we're all here for. We all have different skill sets and different things to bring to the table. So take advantage of all of us.
All right.
Yeah.
You guys ask for it.
For new agents right now, one of the things that's missing is the Ignite class, because that's where that's the entry level, and it's where all of those questions usually get answered.
Yeah.
So for now, like Dan is saying, whether it's Dan, whether it's anybody that you can pair up with, even off of one of these calls, one of these Zoom calls here, and just take a time. Dan will do it. I can do it. I'm certainly not at Dan's level as far as experience is concerned, but getting started in the business, I've done that twice in 2 different places. You can take a half an hour, and just go through a bunch of questions. And the key point is there are no stupid questions getting into this business. There's a lot to it. And we often say, like, even in the Ignite classes, do you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose right now, because there's so much information that comes out. But just being in that environment with other people is what helps that. That's why I used to like town hall so much at the Cold office. You could sit in town hall for 2 hours and learn a bunch of stuff that you would never even think to ask questions about, because it's just ongoing business each day. And don't be afraid to find someone to ask the questions about. And again, Dan has stated it. I can do it. Another Zoom call you're on, there might be somebody else that's real good on the technology. Jesse Rojas does this technology Zoom call each week on Thursdays. In fact, is he on today? No, today's Friday.
Yesterday.
So, but anyway, people are there. Ask the questions. The worst you can do is not ask the questions.
And I think right now we're not getting, in the office, you get that osmosis. You can suck up information from other people. You can bounce ideas. We're not getting that right now. And I think that's really hard on the new ages, especially.
Yeah. And the last thing is, don't be afraid to ask those questions. We all asked them at some point.
Yeah. We still ask questions. I ask questions all the time. You can't stop learning in this business.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Great point to bring up. I mean, Larry's absolutely right. We haven't done the Ignite class, and that's why we're doing a lot more specified trainings, these broker classes every week. We're doing literally every day. If you look at our calendar, there's some aspect of value to help you get further along in your career. We've mobilized the pod leaders to help make sure that you guys are connected and in contact, not just as a productivity side of things. That's our job as the brokerage. And we've asked them just to make sure on a social level, you guys are good.
Yeah.
And that's super important. I've got agents that I talk to on a daily that were in the market center every day that I haven't heard from in 2 weeks. And I've mobilized the brokers to call. I've driven by their house, because if I don't hear from somebody that I typically see all the time, I'm going to go knock down some doors and find them.
Yeah.
I even had one of them go, hey man, I was thinking about moving to Scottsdale. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm very disappointed. My exact words, I'm very disappointed that this is the first I'm hearing about it after 2 weeks of not talking to you. And he's like, well, man, I didn't think you cared. Absolutely. I mean, you're part of my family. Like, you guys are invited into my home. We're literally in my home right now. You're invited into my home and in my heart. But when we say that we're here for you, it's not just to make sure you're getting a paycheck because it benefits us. We're here to make sure you get a paycheck because it's your kids, your dreams, your life. We want to make sure that you guys you're all there. And if it needs to be a little bit on a social level, call and say, hey, I need to chat, or I got something going on. I'm here. You know, the other day in my PC class, I made some waterworks happen because I shared a little bit about my past and my background. And you know, I come from some dark times and in recent dark times. So being real is important to me. So I want you guys to be real with me back. If you need something, ask. If you got a question, ask. If you're not getting support from the people that are supposed to be there, raise your hand and say something. Mm-hmm. This is all new to everybody.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Lisa.
Oh, I was going to say, one of the things I found interesting is those of you that know me well know I'm shy and I don't really socialize that much outside of work. But I've had a lot of fun on our happy hours on Zoom, which is, I thought I'd be so uncomfortable. I'm hearing and learning so much about people that's really interesting and fun. So try to take advantage of those, even if you stay on for 30 minutes. They're on Thursday nights at 5 o'clock. They're a lot of fun. And it can go all different directions, and you never know what you may hear. But it's nice just to talk to people and just when they're off the clock, so to speak.
Good point.
We're doing a Zoom happy hour next week in Sierra Vista, and there's a couple of agents that we've had some really good from other companies that we've had some really good transactions with that we're inviting to the Zoom conference. And like you said, it's just an informal kind of encouraging one another. But it's also an opportunity to reach out. What I'm finding in the midst of a crisis, there's a lot of creativity that's usually birthed from the midst of a crisis. Mm-hmm. So we're really excited about that. We've got a couple of other agents from other companies. It's just a ladies' night. It's a ladies' wine and sip. That's stay awesome. In place Zoom. And so they're really excited about that. I'm an introvert, but I have to take into consideration that everybody is not an introvert. So I am forcing myself to be on this call, but it's going to be fun. And I know it's going to be fun. And it's a great way to really reach out in the community, because a lot of companies don't have this. They're not really engaging as much as we are at all. So this is a prime opportunity to reach out to them in sincerity and just kind of invite them in. I'm having a call with one today from another company as well. And the other thing that I wanted to just add really quick, I know one of the reasons why I came over to Keller Williams is because of three things. When the principal core is God, family, and business, that was one of the things that really drew me to Keller Williams. I was a senior pastor of a local ministry in Tucson and in Sierra Vista, and I just wanted to put it out there to you. Someone mentioned earlier about fear and how fear can, its objective is to paralyze you and to prevent you from being productive if you allow it to. So I just wanted to put that invitation out there to anyone who may be outside of real estate. When you are doing self-care, whether it's meditating or praying the first part of the day, that makes a huge difference. And it kind of sets the course of your entire day. It has been for me personally. But if anyone would like prayer, or they feel like, they just feel like they can't go on, or whatever the case may be, and just want that extra encouragement, my phone is always available for someone that I can encourage and just pray with over the telephone. So I just wanted to put that out there.
That's really nice, Kathy. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing is, get your mind in the right place. It's so easy to go down that dark hole and think of doom and gloom and how awful this is going to be. And it doesn't have to be awful. It really doesn't. You can set the tone for your life. And honestly, there's no reason that our businesses need to fail or that we personally need to fail right now. We just need to make some changes and be positive, have a good attitude about it. And, you'll be fine. Everybody will be fine.
I think the other thing to keep in mind is with every crisis, somewhere as it moves through its cycle, opportunity starts to appear. And if you stay connected with everybody, stay talking to other agents, read a little bit read all the real estate articles that come across the news and things like that. And, the picture will start to become clearer down the road. We don't know where this is going to go, but every day as things move forward, eventually opportunity is going to come. In 2008, it was the shift to short sales. All of a sudden, everybody was, if you didn't do short sales, you might have some trouble doing some business. Who knows where we're going to be through this one? So far, really, the business has backtracked a little bit, but we haven't seen dramatic price changes. We haven't seen, anything that's getting in the way of someone who wants to sell a house or wants to buy a house moving forward. And we're just, we've just had to adjust how we're doing it. But so far, the bottom hasn't fallen out or anything like that. But looking, staying on top of this, staying in touch with people and being a part of those opportunities when they start to emerge is what's going to, offer opportunity for those that are new in the business and for the rest of us to continue with our business.
Right. And we have it so much better. It's one thing you have to look at. There's always someone who has it worse than you do. We are very, very lucky that the opportunities we have in front of us are all for our taking. We just need to make ourselves available and work harder. There are people that don't have any opportunities at all right now. So we really need to be conscious of how lucky we are every single day.
And I'm not sure if everybody knows, I only know because my husband is military. They did a stop movement, so there are no PCSing, stuff like that going on, just so you know.
Yeah, and that's impacting some people's business and also their lives, obviously. Down in Sierra Vista, I know it's been impactful. Well, we're about ready to wrap up. Does anybody have anything they want to add? Any other questions or concerns, words of wisdom, anything at this point?
How are you feeling, Lisa? You doing well?
I feel good. My voice is still kind of funky, but I got my stitches out, so I'm doing good. Yeah, everything is going much faster than we expected. It was 2 weeks, a couple days ago, and I'm driving and I'm fine, pretty much way ahead of schedule.
Good deal.
Yeah, thanks for asking. Anything else? Well, thank you all so much. Like I said, we definitely want to try to, on Fun Unhappy Hour, we really want to try to put things together that are beneficial to you. And if this type of forum is, let us know and we'll continue it. If it's not, let us know as well, and we'll just continue it. But as long as we are able to help somebody, that's what we're here for. And we really do care about all of you on a deep level. We want to make sure that you're as successful and as happy as you can be.
Little plug. We got 8 a.m. ramp up, 8:30 scripts and role play, Monday through Friday. Come join the hilarity. I usually have a really neat joke in there somewhere. It's because I'm a dad and dad jokes are my thing.
Yeah, kind of fun. Yeah, and that is a really good way to get you. If you know that 8 a.m. every morning you need to be on Zoom, it motivates you to get your butt up, get showered, get dressed, and be ready to go. Yeah, I think it's a great way to start your morning. Not, because I have to be on it, so no. All right, well, thank you all so much. I'm going to sign us off now. I appreciate every one of you, and feel free to reach out to us if you need anything.
Have a great weekend, guys.
You too.
Bye.
Thank you.